What's up, guys? I plan on doing some more stuff pertaining strictly to martial arts, and in doing so, I'm going to start a new channel. The name is yet to be determined, but it's going to be linked with this channel, of course, so that you can check out both. It's just that I want to do so much in like martial arts related content that it would probably um, out shine what I'm doing here as far as the other content that I like to talk about here, as far as stuff related to the manosphere, talking about current events, talking about the nerdy stuff, which is the thrust of what I like to talk about here actually, and just fun stuff. So I'm still going to produce martial arts content here, but I'm going to move a lot of that stuff over to the newer channel as yet to be determined. And on that note, I'm going to talk about something. So I've been having like some great conversations with a new friend I met online, whom I'll probably be training soon. She's a novice in many regards to martial arts, but she has a huge interest in it. And she trained in Taekwondo formerly, and now has gone back to it, but had also trains Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ, and has had a sparking interest in Muay Thai, which is how we clicked. I told her that I could give her, some basic tools in Muay Thai. Not as far as being able to compete, but at least being competent in how to actually use it, whether for self-defense or just to enhance what she already does. And we talked about a lot of different things back and forth, but the thrust of it was that she was Taekwondo and about McDojos. So I make no bones about what I feel about Taekwondo and American McDojos. Well, McDojos in general. And she was going to a place that was just a textbook McDojo school. First of all, it was Taekwondo, and I'm gonna get into that in a second. But first of all, it was Taekwondo, which is like the most generic of martial arts schools in America. At least it was. Right now you're seeing a shift, and it's like no contact karate there. Like, they don't spar whatsoever. Even in the 90s, when I was going to a McDojo, Kim's Karate, for people who've heard of it, which it was definitely a McDojo, we still got to do light sparring occasionally. Okay, it was WTF Taekwondo, which is probably the majority of Taekwondo schools in America, and went by those rule systems. But I mean, everything bad about McDojo, well, almost everything bad, but generally what you think of McDojo is what fit the place she went to. Kids with black belts. Not even that. There's a from her account, a woman, or most likely a teenager, with a 3rd degree black belt. And I'm like, really? So first of all, in many Taekwondo schools, there's a separate belt system for the adults and for the children, so to keep it honest. But some of them don't do that. It just translates farther from the children to the adults, which I do have a problem with. But and then there's someone who's in their 30s who has a 5th degree black belt, and I was explaining to her this isn't compatible, because first of all, I was telling her by the WTF rules of, and guys who are in the know, you can correct me in the comments. I will correct myself in the next video if I'm wrong about any of this stuff. But there's age restrictions on the degrees of black belts, after first dan or 1st degree. So generally, you can't achieve 2nd dan, which makes you competent to be an instructor, before the age of 18. So someone below the age of 18 or around the age of 18 to 21 having a third degree black belt is sketchy. And someone being 30, according to her, having a fifth degree black belt is sketch as well, because again, there's age restrictions. Someone who will have a fifth degree black belt under the WTF rules, I believe, would already be a little bit more advanced in age, around my age, basically. Okay? Because you're basically talking about someone who's at the senior instructor or master level. So that was one thing. Then, like I said, the other thing is like there's no contact karate. There's no competition. I mean, no sparring. She told me she went up to a blue belt in Taekwondo as a kid, but she was out of martial arts completely for like 14 years. So that school and any other one she contacted told her that she would basically have to start from scratch, which, yeah, I agree with. I told her if she could still perform at the level of a blue belt, then I would make an exception, but otherwise I would start at the beginning as well. And then they are very, the people there are pretty misinformative about what they think about other arts. And she was telling me how serious this young girl was with her third degree black belt. And to me, I just can't take this seriously. Like a teenage girl, even if she's between 18 or 20, I don't know, who has a third degree black belt, I'm not going to take her seriously, because any grown man could just toss her like a rag doll. Sorry. And just other stuff she was telling me about it. So now she started conflating Taekwondo and traditional martial arts with McDojos, and I was like, wait, let's not conflate the two. I don't consider all traditional martial arts McDojos. Nor vice versa. Not all McDojos teach traditional martial arts. There are McDojos that teach mixed martial arts. And I've gone into that in previous videos, like the ones who teach MMA as a style instead of as a sport. It's a sport. Now, yes, there are some arts that are both style and sports, such as, Muay Thai and boxing. Those are both arts and schools. Okay. But MMA has not gotten to that point yet. And what you see is the ones that do teach it as a style, those people tend to be mediocre fighters, because it's like they do everything just less well than everyone else who specializes in something else. And I said basically it should just be called combat jiu-jitsu, because the background is mostly Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and they just taught how to kick and punch. And I mean that because they're not learning how to box. They do not have the finesse nor the footwork of boxers, or the fighting IQ of a boxer. As far as kicking, they kick like a mediocre Muay Thai stylist. They don't have the skill set that a knock Muay will have. So, yeah. So McDojos can be traditional or modern, okay? And not all traditional schools are McDojos, because some of them are quality schools. And the most important point is any traditional martial art can be made applicable through pressure testing. If you take a traditional martial art, I don't care what it is, Taekwondo, Kempo, karate, Kung Fu, and you force them to spar, it's going to look like kickboxing. If you take a traditional jiu-jitsu, salad or whatever, and have them roll on the ground, it's going to resemble wrestling. So so I was telling her, don't fault the arts. Like, yes, to some degree, yeah, you can fault the arts because they're stuck in their ways of trying to swim on land, as Bruce Lee might put it. But put them in the water and they can swim with the best of them. Okay? So it's not the style itself, it's the training methods. Those training methods are still stuck in a historical era. That's why I think it's sort of a misnomer calling them traditional martial arts. I think they should be called historical martial arts. That way you know what's going on, is that they're stuck in the older way of training. And like I said, Taekwondo has been shown quite effective in MMA and Muay Thai settings when it's pressure tested, when those guys are taught to spar and they have to compete against other people trying to kick their ass. It becomes pretty effective. So, and I've used it in that way as well. It's enhanced me in Muay Thai, and because of such, I've actually had a new love or reburgeoning love for Taekwondo that I haven't had in maybe a decade or more. So as I see how it's able to be applicable, like things I would never think would be applicable in a real fight, like an axe kick. I can even do a helicopter kick, which is not terribly applicable in a real fight, but it can be done. So, and cartwheel kicks. So yeah, I mean, it's all in application. So I would tell other folks the same. Don't disparage all traditional martial arts, and don't glorify all modern or mixed martial arts. It comes down to the quality of the instructors in the gym that you're going to, because you can find fugazi on both sides and you can find quality on both sides. Back when I was little, you were taught a more aggressive form of karate and taekwondo in many of the schools in the 80s. I remember going to one with my stepfather, and the guy told me, "Hey, we train hard here, so you can expect like bruises, maybe occasional like injuries or broken bones even." Like, I can't imagine an instructor saying that nowadays in a traditional martial arts school. In a mixed martial arts setting, yeah, but I couldn't imagine going to like a karate class or a taekwondo class, which I think it was taekwondo, but it could have been Japanese karate. But in either case, I couldn't imagine that in this time, someone going to a traditional martial arts school and instructor saying, expect to get your ass kicked. Because, well, maybe just out of issues of liability alone that would preclude that. But also it's just those, the traditional the traditional martial arts are just way more soft, watered down now. And you unfortunately see that happening with styles that tend to be trained in mixed martial arts, which is, the core of mixed martial arts is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, boxing, and Muay Thai. And you're seeing gentrified versions of those. Okay. So it's all in the training methodology. It's sort of like science. In science, usually the gold standard is the double-blind, randomized, controlled experiment, right? That's the gold standard of experimental science, at least. Maybe not formal sciences, but experimental sciences. And with martial arts, the gold standard is hard sparring. Now, I don't recommend hard sparring all the time because you can't always do hard sparring, but it is recommended. From what Shifu Burton Richardson said from the Jeet Kune Do lineage, he said that's basically what evolved Bruce Lee's Jan Fan Gung Fu into Jeet Kune Do as we know it today, was hard sparring. It is the gold standard of martial arts pressure testing. Okay? Add that element to any martial art, any legitimate martial art. I don't know about Russian slap fighting. I don't know if that has, I don't know if that can be helped. And I don't know if other fake martial arts like Demak and no touch knockouts can ever be helped. But for legit martial arts, the gold standard of hard sparring will instantly transform any martial art into something that is to be reckoned with. So that's my diatribe. Again, be on the lookout. I will be starting a new channel sooner or later, to be determined. The focus is purely on martial arts. Okay. And, I want you guys to keep training. If you got questions about martial arts, if I can answer it, I will. If not, I'll refer it to some other YouTubers who know way more than I do of the given content that you're asking me about. And if you want to correct me on anything that I just said, go ahead as well. Because when I'm shown to be wrong, I've learned something new as well. And hopefully the people watching can take something from that. All right, guys. Thanks.